we're from a small city in Sweden originally, so you know, we played in other bands together before this band. So, well, sharing the interest of metal and music together sort of brought us together when we were early teenagers already. And obviously my brother, Jonas, is in the band as well. We've been sort of hanging out for quite some time.
What was the first big concert you went to that really blew your mind?
The first big concert I was at was Slayer in 2001. We, since we're from a smaller city, it was like always really hard for us to travel to see those big shows. They never came to our city, and not even close to our city. So that was the first time when I was, you know, allowed to go to Stockholm on my own to see Slayer. And so that was cool. That was the first big show I went to. But you know, so you saw a couple of local band shows like earlier. That was the first big show I went to.
So when you saw Slayer with the crazy lights and setup and the amazing sound just blew your mind, you wanted to be that?
Yeah, of course, but I already knew that since I've been watching all kinds of VHS videos and with all my bands that I liked before that, you know. But yeah, still it was a big impact, of course.
Well, take us inside the new album and talk about what songs you have your most excitement about, or if there's any stories about any of the songs that you're most proud of making here.
There's stories about every song, I guess. So if you have any specific question,
well, just the songs that you're most excited about. Which ones are you most proud of? Tell us about those and what they're about.
All of them. You know, you wouldn't. I mean, I used to say that you know, if you got a favorite, also means that you have a couple of songs that aren't as good as your favorites, and then it would be totally useless to release them. We don't work like so. We don't write fillers.
Sure, but give us a song in particular that you think is like an advancement, you know, for Enforcer, something you really stepped up.
I would say that a song like "Below the Slumber" from the new record is like a feels really fresh for us because it's so different to anything else that we've ever done before. And it feels really good to like improve and like wider your perspective without losing what you stand for as a band. How that came together was like basically Joseph wrote most of the riffs in that song. And when we rehearsed it together, we wanted to have something that more went from like point A to point B rather than to have the same structure as all previous songs that we had written at that point. So yeah.
And what do you feel is the next direction for the band? I mean, obviously, you know, you don't change radically, but what do you feel the next step may be for the band?
Can't say at the moment because I don't know. You know, you the only thing that you do is you do whatever you feel is right in the moment, and you know we haven't really been thinking of new material yet, so can't say what mood we will be in when we start to write stuff for the next album. So yes, we have to see. You know, it's you know the only thing that you can do is when you do honest music is you do something that you feel is right. You know.
So it happens very, very organically as you prepare for the new album. Hopefully you've grown from the last album and the last tour.
Yeah, I would say so.
Now, obviously, you've seen some great festivals over there in Europe. What's like some of the craziest scenes you've ever seen, whether it be a mosh pit or just the most incredible venue or crowd? Tell us about some of the most memorable.
Well, one of the most memorable shows is not from Europe. It's like from South America. They definitely have the craziest, most enthusiastic crowds on the entire planet, man. So it's like they go crazy to anything. I couldn't hear myself singing because everyone was singing along in the songs. For example, that was insane. You just don't see that kind of things on other places.
So they're kind of starved for the bands. So by the time you get down there, they're so appreciative.
Well, yeah, they are really appreciative, for sure. Really enthusiastic about music and really, die hard. It's really cool.
That's great. Now, as far as the new touring goes, where will the next tour take you? Do you know some of the lands? Are you coming to America?
We will be in North America at some point on this album cycle, for sure. We have some idea about bringing a couple of bands our size to a package tour, with a little bit smaller bands. But sometime in January, February, maybe next year. But we'll see. Nothing's really nailed yet, but we're working on it at the moment. Lots of things can change. Things always have a way of changing,
Sure.
So we'll see, but we'll hit the roads in Europe in September. That's the plan.
Okay, great. Now
in festivals in the summer.
Now tell us about the first time you came to America and visited places like New York and L.A. Where so many of your favorite bands came from. What was that like?
Oh, it was an amazing time for us. We were young at that time. We just released our first album, and we didn't know what to expect at all. We had lots of really, really good shows, especially from the bigger cities like LA, New York, San Francisco, Chicago was cool as well. And then we had lots of shows which were like terrible. Like traveling through the Midwest and do a couple of stops in Idaho and stuff like this, where bands usually don't play.
Right.
Which were like probably one of the most shows we will ever play. Then I remember I can't remember where it was, but at some venue on the tour, it was like we met the promoter in the door when we arrived. He had $20 for us and said, "Just leave, just leave." There was no one there.
Oh man! So I know obviously you can feed off an audience, with their enthusiasm, but when you go,
this was such a long time ago. We had one album, and it was like. And at the same time, when we played LA, for example, was the sickest show in our career at that time. So it was lots of highs and lots of lows.
Sure.
But looking back on it, it was like the best thing ever, because now you can tell that story about the $20 in the door and have a laugh about it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of bands in the early days with those small crowds or, a slow crowd, it's still important to put on a good show because you're already there.
Yeah.
Now, what advice do you give to the young bands, the young players coming up today? What do they need to concentrate on to really have a shot at creating their own style?
Don't listen to anyone else. Do your thing and do it to 1,000%.
Great. Any closing comments for the audience here in America?
Well, really bad at those things, but we will be back soon, and then we hope to see as many of you as possible there. Always appreciated the ones who support what we do.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. We look forward to spreading the word and getting the new album out.
That's cool, man.